Good day, students. By the way, I find a way to record myself, although my camera is not working. Therefore, I will just be giving you this video as a voice recording, or maybe I'll just send it as it is. But this is to discuss to you the sociocultural evolution from the hunting and gathering society up to the post-industrial society. Now, we have five major types of societies, and these are the hunting and gathering, horticultural, pastoral, agricultural, industrial, and post-industrial. So, I said five major types because industrial and post-industrial usually goes together. Now, I would like you to please go and listen to this video while you are looking at your reviewer, the PowerPoint presentation that I've given you, so that you could follow my discussion. So there are five major types of societies, but before that, let us discuss what is socio-political evolution. So when you say socio-political evolution, it happens when societies develop new forms of economic subsistence, acquire knowledge, and apply new technology. As we all know, the primates are not using cell phone before. They don't have the technology that we have nowadays. And it is possible because of of research and because of the efforts of the modern man. And before, during the times of the primates, they're just relying mainly on the natural resources, you know. And these are the things that we are going to discuss on the first society that I'm going to introduce to you tonight. Now, the first society is hunting and gathering. In the hunting and gathering society, eh, we call the people nomadic. Nomadic because they transfer from one place to another. They don't have permanent houses. They just stay where there is food, and after all of the food around them are gone, they would just look for another place. So they are called the nomads. Okay, and it is the oldest and most basic ways of economic subsistence of hunt for animals and vegetation for food. Now, we all know that nature needs time to replenish itself, and if a group of people would just stay in one place and would just get their food from the same land, then technically it would not replenish that much. So they had to transfer places. And mind you guys, they don't have vehicles back then. They just walk on foot, right? And this is where they focus on the basic unit of the society, which is called the family. I know that I have been discussing to you that the family is the basic unit of the society, but not just the society itself, but the economy. Because all of the things that they are doing are centered on the needs of the family. And what they do is they usually pick wild fruits and plants and cook them. Okay, sometimes they don't even cook them, they just eat these wild fruits and plants. And you know the division of labor for them, it is there are two things actually. So first are the hunters and then next one are the gatherers. As for the division of labor, there are two divisions. We have the hunters and the gatherers. The hunters are usually men because they are stronger than women physically, and they could find or they could hunt wild animals. They could fight them because of their physical strength. As for the women, they are gatherers because it requires, let's just say that it requires less strength to gather fruits, but for them they don't have this thinking that if you're a hunter you're better than the gatherers, or and if you're a gatherer you're better than the hunters. What they wanted is just to suffice each other's needs and at the same time help each other in order for them to live and survive. So hunting and gathering have the same weight when it comes to labor, unlike nowadays when there are a lot of inequalities in the society. Women are known to be creative and into intricate details, therefore, they are the gatherers. And as for men, man has the capability to fight wild animals in the field or in the forest. Their tactics make them good hunters. Okay. Unlike nowadays that they really have to, that there is just this fight for equality when it comes to genders. But before, what they want is just to suffice their needs. All right, so the next one is the horticultural and pastoral society. As for the horticultural and pastoral society, they gradually shift to sedentary life. So these societies subsist through small scale farming and gathering. They're not nomads anymore. They don't shift from one place to another. They don't have to travel anymore just for them to survive because they finally learn how to how to grow their food, how to plant, and how to do small scale farming, meaning unlike the farms that we have nowadays when we have tractors, when we have a very wide field, they just do small scale farming just to support the needs of the members of their tribe or the members of their group. And nowadays they're not like the nomads before that are in a small group because they're finally building a larger society. So what they have there are stable foods, domestic animals, and they do cultivate for plants. So they have stable of foods because they store their food there so that they could have food whenever there is storm or whenever there is a change in the climate. And also, they finally learn how to take care of domestic animals. When you say domestic animals, these are different from the wild animals because wild animals are the ones that are being hunted by the hunters and gatherers before. So they are usually in the forest and they eat their meat. But nowadays, no, not nowadays, but in this stage, in this society, they do take care of domestic animals, animals that are not that wild, meaning that they could take care of like cow, pig, chicken, and they also learn how to cultivate plants. They learn how to grow their vegetables, they learn how to grow their trees. The next one is the agricultural society, and this society has a permanent settlement. So the horticultural society actually learned how to stay in one place, but after some time, they still need to live that place because why did they need to leave it? Because they could not maintain the land, the piece of land that they own. Okay, because it is not always a time of bountiful harvest. They need to cultivate the land, but they don't have the means to do that. They don't have the knowledge to do that. So what they do is they still transfer from one place to another, but then not in a way like nomads because nomads need to transfer all the time. Why? Well, as for them, they could sustain a certain place for a very long time and then transfer afterwards, like migrate. Okay. But for the agricultural society, they learn how to settle permanently. And this is also known as the Neolithic Age or known as animal domestication. If in horticultural and pastoral stage, they're learning how to take care of animals, in here, they're learning on how to, yeah, how to try to add to the population of their animals, add up to mean like grow the number of their animals, and also to find new methods in farming. Okay, the food production is more efficient in this stage because they finally learn how to grow their harvest. Okay, I learned how to make use of other resources just so their harvest will be bountiful, and they have methods already. They finally learn how to grow their plants on a large scale farming. Unlike before in horticultural and pastoral society, they just do low key farming, like small scale farming. But for the new methods of farming, they have already settled in one place. Therefore, they know how the land works for a very long time. They know how the land works in every season. Okay. One of the methods that they have learned is the slash and burn technique. All right. And in here, I think it's the Filipino term for that is pagayu, no? Wherein what they do is they burn the piece of land just so it would be a good land for farming, for planting. Okay, because some of the lands are not that, let's just say that it's dry. Okay, some are dry lands. If these are dry lands, then they would not be able to grow a lot of a lot of crops from this land. Therefore, what they do is they slash and burn, right? When you say slash, they take out the rest of the plants and then burn it. Okay. Just so they wouldn't need, because before they don't have fertilizers yet like we do right now. Okay, so that's their way of fertilizing the soil. Okay, and this is the start of inventing tools that would help them for farming. So as we all know, we have the traditional tractor that is being, I mean the plow, wherein the the farmers use it with a domestic animal. Okay, so the domestic animal will pull it like the manual tractor, and then that would, well, that would cultivate the land, and that they don't need to cultivate it manually before using their hands because they already have these tools. So the next society is industrial society. In industrial society, we have what we call as the technological advancement, use of machines, production of goods, birth of cities, and overpopulation in cities. Let's start with technological advancement. In technological advancement, the people are learning new technologies every day, okay, and these technologies help them make their lives better, and they use machines already unlike before, although these are not like the machines that we have nowadays that are digital. These are still manual machines, but although it is manual, it greatly help in the production of food. Okay, at the same time, it greatly help in the daily living of the people. Okay, or the basic unit of the society, which is the family. All right, and as for the production of goods, it is better, obviously, than the agricultural society because they are not just producing raw goods from the farm. They're already trying to learn different techniques on the how they're going to preserve their food, or how to make use of the of alternatives in case that there is a lack of food for the society. It is also the birth of cities. Cities are well developed place. They are more civilized than the countryside because they are making use of all the technologies, the technological advancements. And as a result of that, we experienced overpopulation in the cities because a lot of people would like to go there. A lot of people would like to live in the cities because of the advanced technology there. In 1733, the textile industry had a breakthrough because of the man named John Kay, and it is because of the patented flying shuttle. The flying shuttle is used for weaving, and one could weave faster than when you do it manually. But in 1764, 30 years after that, or almost, James Hargreaves designed the spinning jenny, which is even better than the flying shuttle. It is a larger machine that helps in faster production of textile materials. After that, in 1769, Richard Arkwright designed and patented the water frame and is known as the father of the factory system. So it is the start of what we call as the factory. Okay, the idea of the factory is the use of multiple machines to do what human beings could do. So these machines will be a substitute for human labor. And in 1779, Samuel Crompton designed the spinning mule. The spinning mill is still big, but it is faster than all of the machines that I have told you or that I have mentioned earlier. So In 1785, Edmund Cartwright patented the power loom. And the power loom is like 10 times faster than the rest of the machines that I have discussed to you. Okay, although all of these is for one reason, for them to make clothing. And in 1792, Ellie Whitney invented the cotton gin, wherein they're using cotton to produce clothes. And like before, that they are just making use of merely animal fur, but in here are animal fur fibers. But right now, in 1792, Ellie Whitney have made use of cotton. So this is just an example of how innovative is the industrial society, and that is the reason why a lot of people would like to shift from agriculture to industrial, or the agricultural society to industrialization, because for them industrialization helps make our lives better. But for what, I mean, what are you willing to sacrifice to be able for you to have this better life? And well, that is the question. And the answer is the overpopulation of the cities. At the same time, okay, the it damages the environment. It destroys a lot of our natural resources because of what we call as the pollution. Okay, therefore, industrial society has its boons and pains. It may help us, will make our lives easy by these machines that we have, although it actually destroys the environment. Okay, and we are all informed of what is happening right now. Okay, lastly is the post-industrial society. This is our society, guys, because this is where people make use of tablets and smartphones. Our tablets, smartphones, computers are really powerful because it could do a lot of things aside from calling each other or communicating with other people from the rest of the world. It also could do a lot of things like shopping for us. Okay, during the pandemic, our tablets and smartphones did a really, huge job in order for us to stay connected, in order for us to stay in school. And it is also called as the age of development of the information technology. Okay, actually, not just the information technology, information and communication technology. Okay, through what we call as the internet and the social media sites. So in terms of education, they're making use of e-boards, right? E-blackboards. We still doesn't have that, but in Perpetual we have projectors. Okay, but when you go to the States, they're already using the e-boards where the teacher could write in there, like writing in an iPad, for example. We have the e-stations. All of you have your e-stations right now. Okay, where in your houses you have your workstation, right? With the use of your laptop, your cell phones. Okay, so that is all for the different societies. So let's go back. The different societies, or the five major types, are hunting and gathering, horticultural and pastoral, agricultural, industrial, and post-industrial.